I'd like to take a minute to explain the theme registry. It's a good thing to have a basic grasp of because occasionally you'll run into issues which can be solved if you have that understanding of how the theme registry works. So let me explain first why it exists. As we've talked about in previous videos on theming, it's possible to override any themable output on the module layer and on the theme layer. In addition, each piece of themable output can run through multiple theme functions before it actually reaches the final page. So for example, a link is themed, and then that link belongs inside of a block, for example, which is themed, and then that block resides inside of a page, which is also themed. So there's a whole slew of functions that exist to theme output. In addition, there's a whole slew of possible functions that could exist. So what Drupal does, instead of doing a check every time the page is loaded for what theme functions and template files are responsible for which output, it does all that processing once, and it stores a list of the associations. And then it uses that list in order to render the output on every page load after that initial page load. On the positive side, this means that Drupal gets a performance boost because that processing doesn't have to happen on every page. On the downside, whenever we add a new template file or a theming function, it means that that won't get added to the registry unless we clear out the registry first and rebuild it. So it means that we might bump up against this problem every once in a while when we're working with a theme or working with a module where our changes don't seem to apply, and it's usually because we need to clear the theme registry and have our new bits added in. I'd like to show you what the theme registry looks like, and to do so what we're going to do is create a simple module that has a single function that's an alter call to hook theme registry alter, and what we're going to do is use this hook to intercept the process of building the theme registry and just take a look at what's going on. Okay, so go ahead and jump to your Build a Module resource folder and select the Appearance module here. Go ahead and copy it and paste it into your example website in the Sites, All, Modules, Custom directory. Okay, and go ahead and open up the Steps folder and open up the first step, which is called Hook Theme Registry Alter, and also open up the appearance.module file. Go ahead and copy the entire code in the step file and paste it into the empty.module file and save it. As you can see here, we have a pretty simple file. We just have one function called appearance theme registry alter, which follows the convention of hooks, where we use the module name followed by the name of the hook. And it gets passed a single variable by reference. You can tell by the ampersand here, and it's the theme registry. And this is a multi-level array that includes all the information about every theme function and template file that Drupal uses. Okay, now what I'm going to do is jump back to the browser, and in order to build the registry, what we need to do is to clear the cache. And we can do that in Configuration, Development, Performance. Now again, I'm using the Admin menu module in order to provide this drop down at the top. And we can click the Clear All Caches button here. We can also hover over the Home button and click Flush All Caches, or simply do the theme registry right here. Before we clear the cache, let's do a couple of things. First of all, let's make sure that our module is installed. I'm clicking the modules link. Go ahead and scroll down to the Build a Module section right here and make sure that the Appearance module is enabled. And go ahead and submit the form. Okay, now one more step. I'm going to jump back to my editor and make sure that there's a breakpoint set right here. Now I have a debugger integrated in with my development environment. So what we're going to do is stop this script at this point and take a look at this theme registry variable. If you're doing this at home and you don't have a debugger, you could use something like var dump or print r. Now I'm going to jump back and turn on debugging with this handy little button down here. And I'm going to clear the caches by hovering over this home button and clicking flush all caches. Okay, now I'm going to jump back to the editor, and you see here that we're stopped right here. And now we can take a look at the theme registry variable. It's down here. We're going to expand it. If you look at all of the items that are inside of this array, each one aligns up with either a template file or a theme function. These are all points that we can override with our own theme function or template file overrides, and these all exist as theme functions inside of Drupal. If we expand one, for example, Advanced Help Pop-up, which is part of the Advanced Help module, you might not see this if you have just Drupal core installed. We have an array called preprocess functions, and if we expand that, we see that there's a list of 3 preprocess functions that will run whenever this theme function is called. Now, preprocess functions stack on top of one another, so all 3 of these will be called whenever this function gets run. There's also process functions. I'm going to go ahead and expand that, and we have 2 process functions here. Now, the difference between preprocess and process is simply that preprocess functions run first and then pass off the output to process functions, which then hand off the output to the theme function. Most of the time, you'll just need one of these, but occasionally you'll want to do a 2-step process for the rendering of the output, and a process function is the way to do that. Okay, I'm going to scroll down a bit here. Now we see we have a template item inside of this array. This means that this gets rendered through a template file rather than a theme function. And then it points to the location here in sites all modules contrib, advanced help pop-up. And you can see the full name in the hover over, and it excludes the .tpl.php extension. So this, if you were looking for this file, you would add .tpl.php to the end. There's a couple more bits of information, but let me go ahead and show you what a theme function call would look like. I'm going to scroll down to comment block here. It's expanded. And we have a function item inside of this array, and it points to the theme function that's called when this item is rendered. So if you're looking through the theme registry to figure out what kind of themable output there is, you can look for this function item for any time there's a theme function that is responsible for the output. And you can also look for the template item in an array when a template file is responsible. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop this debugging process here. And I'm going to go ahead and jump to my MySQL manager. Now, I've used this on previous videos, but over here to the side is a list of the database tables, and to the right will display the content or the structure of that table. And what I'm going to do is open up the cache table here. And in here, there's a theme registry right here. This is for the theme 7. And if we take a look at the data, I'm going to go ahead and open this up. You'll see it's simply a serialized array that includes all of the information that we were looking at in the debugger in my IDE. So this is where it's saved. This is one other way that we can rebuild the theme registry if we wanted to. And it's helpful to know that by clearing this cache table, that will also clear the theme registry as well. One more thing to note, if you're using this method in order to identify themable output, is that because we were on an administration page, I'm going to jump back to the browser here, this uses the theme 7 by default, whereas the main theme of the site is Bartik. And so if we jump back to the MySQL browser here, we see that this is the theme registry for 7. And if we wanted to take a look at the theme registry for Bartik, we should go to a page that requires that theme. And then we'll see this built, and our hook theme registry alter will run for that theme. Okay, I'm going to jump back to the browser,